Hi there. Well, great to see you again, Bridget, and lovely to meet you, Mary Catherine.
Lovely to meet you too.
And thank you for the beautiful gift of this series.
Oh,
Ah, thank you.
it's so nice.
And I know that you were roommates in real life at one point, and I just wondered what you might bring from that off-screen relationship to creating these on-screen sisters.
Well, I know exactly how to get on her nerves with precision
Same,
accuracy.
same. I don't know. I think there's
uh,
like a comfortability and trust, but I
yeah.
think like the best part of being in the show with Mary Catherine is like I feel like she's on my team, she's rooting for me, and we're in it together, and it's like such a dream. You kind of can't script it.
I mean, it's so funny to think like, we were living together. She was waiting tables and was starting to put her one woman show together. At least it's Pink, which it remains one of the most brilliant things I've ever seen. But to see this, like where that she's now like a producer, writer, television writer, and like an incredibly brilliant actor is just like, I mean, talk about like a flowering or a blossoming. It's just the coolest thing to watch in the whole world.
I think if you told us 20 years ago when we were sitting on the couch drinking Chardonnay and Pinot Grigio,
Out of
respectively,
a
like
Magnum. We always
out of
bought
a
the Magnums.
Magnum, that we would be on an HBO show together that was well received. I don't think either one of us could have ever pictured that.
No, it's really has been a dream.
Well, I like that the wine has made it into the series.
Yes.
And I was just speaking to Hannah and Paul about this. I was reading the results of a recent study about the epidemic of loneliness in the United States, and it was saying how it wasn't the result of us not having like enough friends, and that most people have about four or five friends in their lives, but it's a result of us not having deep relationships and deep
Oh,
connections with those friends. And watching this series, I think it just exemplifies why it's so important for us to have those deep relationships. And I think it extends to family members too. I wondered if you maybe talk a little bit about that in regards to the series and, what happens when we're sort of
Well,
open, honest, and vulnerable with each other, I guess. Yeah.
honestly, when I met Mary Catherine personally, I was a lot like Sam, shut down, sort of hard to crack. And I feel like Mary Catherine and my friend Zach really did a number on me and tried to shake a lot of that deep rooted kind of Midwestern, maybe not just Midwestern, maybe my family, that kind of just like living in a blockade kind of. And I they were like the kind of the first friends that really tried to like get under the hood in that kind of way. And I was like, this is not so bad. And I think there's a lot of that in the show. And just takes a while for some of those relationships to develop because you want to tell the story slowly and meaningfully. But that's kind of where I would what I'd say. What do you think? What do you think, Mary Catherine?
well, I feel like one of the things this show has highlighted, which is what a lot of people I know already experience, is that you can't always get everything from your family. So then you have this chosen family and the people that you that really see you and that are committed to you. And even if it's not, from the same womb or whatever, then, but sometimes it is. And I think that's one of the fun things to act about this sister relationship is that they start off in the show so very different and they think they're different. But, you grow up in the same family, you have the same traumas, you have the same experiences, you have the same points of reference. And I think them finding common ground has been a very gratifying thing to act. And also, I think probably something a lot of people can relate to because it's real. And I think the chosen family thing is what I started out with was like, that's what a lot of people can relate to. I mean, we have a group of friends talking about Zach, who is, I consider him part of my chosen family, and Bridget, and we have some other friends, Jim and Larry. And there's just like a group of people that, you want to know forever and take care of and however you can. And I think this show highlights that in a wonderful way.
Yeah, I love how in this season particularly Trisha really becomes part of the chosen family and
I know. I was like, oh, thank you. I was so worried I wouldn't get to act with them.
when they arrive at the bar, she's like, "Woo, everyone's here." That's so great to see. Um, and I think grief is unfortunately something that we all have to deal with in our lives, but I feel like it's not reflected in TV shows and in films enough, considering the fact that it's something that we all deal with. And I just wondered if you could talk a bit about the way that it's dealt with in the show, and the particularly for your characters across these 3 seasons, because they're both dealing with grief very much in their own ways, aren't they?
Yeah, I think there's like the grief of the character that's, the sister that's gone, and then there's also the grief of Mike Haggerty, who plays our dad in season 1, who, we lost. And I think trying to find a way to like honor both of those, and how things happen in waves, and how, in this season there's a moment when you're kind of like getting on with your life, but then there's those moments where it just spikes up and something happens, a birthday, a memory, whatever the thing is, and you're kind of back right where you started. And it's like, everybody, that the way that I wanted to handle grief in this show is just exactly that way. Like, not like you're sad, and then you move on to the next story point. Like, it's still there. Like, it's always still there. My sister is, who died, and so that's how, I have days and weeks now where I don't think about it, and then some days it's overwhelming. So you know how it goes. Everybody's been through it.
And I like that the show points out like Trisha's not delayed grief, but that because Sam has been living in Holly's house, it's so immediate for her and so constant. And then Trisha has just kept herself at arm's length from it all successfully until she couldn't do that anymore. And then you get to see the sisters, like Sam helps her through that stuff. So I just think the grief process is so individual, and the show portrayed that so well.
And one other thing I think is that's very present in my family, and I also think like kind of maybe a Midwestern thing, at least some of the people I know, is that you don't always like talk about things a lot. You don't talk about, and it's like Sam and Trisha just haven't, even though that's like probably their biggest commonality or one of the biggest things, they just haven't found a way to kind of let that be a shared experience and a shared thing that they can work through together. So yeah, we wanted to include a little bit of that.
Yeah. And Sam says at one point when she's talking about singing and music that it just allows one to express one's emotions in a way that they can't. It's similarly, as you were saying, about sometimes it's really hard to talk about. And I love how Sam helps Brad write this beautiful love song series. And I wondered if you maybe just talk a bit about what singing and music means to you in your own life, and how that's how we see that play out in the character of Sam, maybe particularly this season.
Well, I think that's exactly what it means to me. Like I have a really hard time communicating thoughts, obviously, as you can see, I'm doing my best, but I feel like there's something that just feels like singing feels like home. It feels like the best friend, the love of my life, the only thing that really understands me. And so I wanted that to be a huge part of the show. I think, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's
it does beautifully, yeah. And I love it almost turns into a duet. I've never been to me, between the two sisters, that lovely moment when Trisha's like,
best song ever.
Too many drinks. That must have been a really fun scene to do. And like, does the singing ever happen like when the cameras aren't rolling? Are there cast sing-alongs, or is that just me sort of fantasizing about that?
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
But Mary, that song,
Bridget's always singing.
But that song was Mary Catherine's idea. It's like we're trying to figure out like a song to do in that moment that wouldn't feel cheesy. So Mary Catherine made me a huge playlist, and then she kind of mentioned that song, and I was like, oh my God, that's such a good idea. And then we did it, and it just felt perfect. I don't know. I was, I pick a lot of the music in the show, but this one was all Mary Catherine, and it was like the right song for the right moment, I think.
So I get writing credit, right? That's how
yeah, that's right.
You know what's funny? I'm not sure if I ever told you this, Bridget, but I had this secret fantasy that one day you and I would perform that song together on stage. So it's kind of like we did.
Yeah. Check that off your bucket list.
It's done. Check it.
And I'd actually just recently rewatched Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and I think that's the opening song in that. Hey, lady. Hey.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I have to rewatch that.
Yes. And there's a nice story thread this time with Sam thinking about adopting a rescue dog. Was that your own dog, Lulu, that gets a cameo,
It
Bridget?
sure is. She's asleep in the other room. There was a dog that was hired, that was there with the trainer and the the animal sort of escort, whatever it was, and did not deliver what we needed. So I was like, well, Lulu's in the car. Let me go. Should we try it? And we did. And Lulu's very overactive and like very much a talker, but for some reason she kind of nailed it.
She knows what she's doing.
She knows what she's doing.
Well, as an audience member, it's been such a healing and comforting show to watch. Very funny, lots of tears too. And I wondered what it's meant to each of you as it comes to an end to have put this, been part of making the series and putting it out into the world.
I mean, I think honestly, when this is all over, when the press is done and it's all behind us, I think it'll really hit me what it's meant to me because, I talk to people on the streets and I know how I feel like in theory, but it's too overwhelming to kind of take it in, because it's been a dream job with people that I love very much and getting to to be on HBO and kind of tell a story in our own way. It doesn't even seem real. That's the real truth for me.
Yeah, this has been, I keep saying I've peaked. Like, it's not going to get any better than this. This is as good as it gets. It's been, it never for one second felt like work. That was all the love you see on our side of the camera. Well, the same thing was happening behind the camera with the crew, the transpo guys. I mean, it was a love fest. And a lot of that's because Bridget, and she's, our top person, it was trickled down, and she treated everybody with so much respect and so much care and so much generosity. And it's how everyone just felt loved and cared for. And am like, will will ever be anywhere close to this good ever again? I don't know.
I don't know either. I really don't.
It was in the writing, of course. I mean, I could go on and on and on. It was just, I couldn't have dreamt up a better scenario.
Well, Mary Catherine, Bridget, thanks for a wonderful conversation and a beautiful series.
Thank you, James.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.